Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's planned return to Australia is turning into a public relations minefield. Before a single bag has been packed, a viral petition is sending a clear message from down under. You're welcome to visit, but you're paying for it yourselves. This isn't just a few online trolls. It's a PR headache unfolding in real time, turning what was meant to be a private visit into a public spectacle. It's a complete reversal from the adoration they received years ago. So, how did the very idea of a return trip spiral so quickly into controversy? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're dissecting the public relations challenge that is Harry and Meghan's upcoming trip to Australia. What was announced as a blend of private, business, and philanthropic engagements has instead ignited a firestorm of public debate. Their first trip back to the country since their celebrated 2018 tour is now being overshadowed by angry petitions, brutal media commentary, and a nation openly questioning the purpose of their visit. The backlash has been swift, and it's been organized. Australians, it seems, have long memories and little patience for what they perceive as a conflict of interest. This story isn't just about a trip, it's about the complex evolution of the Sussex brand on the world stage, a brand that was once golden on Australian soil. We're going to break down the petitions, the scathing media reactions, and the bigger picture of their professional moves that have led to this moment. This trip has become a litmus test for their global standing, and right now, the results are looking rocky. It all started with a seemingly low-key announcement. A spokesperson for the Sussexes confirmed that the couple would travel to Australia for a mix of private, business, and philanthropic events. On the surface, it sounds pretty standard for two global figures. This would be their first time back since 2018, a tour that was, by all accounts, a massive success. Newly married and expecting their first child, they were greeted by cheering crowds and glowing media coverage. That visit cemented their status as the monarchy's exciting new power couple. As some royal commentators have noted, the reception they received in 2018 was nothing short of euphoric. They were the golden couple, a breath of fresh air for the institution. But that was then. The years since have been turbulent, to say the least. They stepped back as working royals in 2020 to find financial independence in the United States, gave bombshell interviews, and signed multi-million-dollar deals. They chose to leave the firm, and that choice has consequences. The announcement of this new trip, framed as a private celebrity visit rather than an official royal tour, landed very differently. The ground has shifted. Recent polls have suggested a significant portion of Australians are not excited about the couple returning, a stark contrast to the country that once couldn't get enough of them. The stage was set not for a triumphant return, but for a confrontation with a public that feels things have changed and a media ready to ask some tough questions. The goodwill from 2018 seems to have all but evaporated, replaced by suspicion and a resentment that was about to boil over. The public reaction was immediate. Almost as soon as the visit was announced, online petitions began circulating, and they weren't just gaining traction, they were articulating a widespread frustration. One of the most prominent, titled "No Taxpayer Funding or Official Support for Harry v. Meghan's Private Visit to Australia," quickly sailed past 10,000 signatures. Its demands are clear and direct. No taxpayer money for security, logistics, or any other government coordination. The petition's language gets right to the point. It argues that since stepping down from royal duties, Harry and Meghan no longer represent the crown and operate as private business people. Therefore, any visit they make should be treated as a strictly private one. The message is simple. If you want to be financially independent celebrities, you foot your own bills. This isn't just about saving a few tax dollars. It taps into a much deeper public sentiment. The campaign explicitly references the severe cost of living pressures facing ordinary Australians. With prices for essentials soaring, the idea of public funds being used to support a private celebrity visit is seen by many as out of touch. Organizers argue that public resources must be used responsibly and prioritized for essentials like healthcare and education. This isn't a fringe movement. It's a significant, coordinated pushback against what critics see as a blurring of lines between public duty and private profit. The petitioners worry that giving the Sussexes official, taxpayer-funded support would set a dangerous precedent for other non-working royals. Harry and Meghan voluntarily resigned from royal duties, so a growing number of Australians are simply asking them to stick to that decision. The era of automatic royal privilege, it seems, is over for them down under. This brings up a fascinating question, and I want to know what you think. The heart of this debate is about whether former royals on private business trips should get any public support. If you believe public funds shouldn't be used for their private ventures, type "no public funds" in the comments below. And while you're there, if you're finding this breakdown useful, make sure you've subscribed and hit that notification bell. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story as it develops. If the petitions were the kindling, the Australian media was the gasoline. Led by a relentless Sky News Australia, the commentary wasn't just critical, it was openly contemptuous. Any hope the Sussexes had for a quiet, controlled visit was torched in a blaze of brutal headlines and on-air takedowns. Across the network, the tone was mocking. Hosts openly questioned the couple's motives for the trip, with one commentator sarcastically asking if Australia hadn't suffered enough. This wasn't just empty rhetoric. It tapped into a real shift in public opinion. Polling has indicated that Harry and Meghan's popularity in Australia has been on a downward trend, placing them among the least popular royals in the country. The media seized on this sentiment and amplified it. The criticism is deeply rooted in the perception of hypocrisy. The narrative being pushed is that this media firestorm does two things. First, it validates the public anger seen in the petitions, making people feel their frustrations are shared. Second, it shapes the entire narrative before the couple even touches down, ensuring their visit will be viewed through a lens of suspicion. The press has effectively poisoned the well. They've framed the visit not as a welcome return, but as an unwelcome intrusion. The once adoring Australian media has become a chief antagonist, turning this planned trip into a PR nightmare. So how did we get here? How did the darlings of 2018 become the subjects of such intense criticism in 2026? The answer is complicated, but it lies in a series of perceived missteps and a fundamental conflict at the heart of their brand. The Australian backlash isn't an isolated incident. It's a symptom of a much larger challenge, defining the Sussex brand identity. The central problem is the very thing fueling the Australian petitions, the blurred line between royalty and celebrity, service and profit. When they stepped back, they wanted financial independence. They signed huge deals with Netflix and Spotify to become media producers. But they also kept their Duke and Duchess titles, the very source of their global fame and commercial value. That inherent contradiction is now being called into question. Their professional ventures have been a subject of intense media scrutiny. While the couple has continued to launch projects, the narrative from critics has often been one of decline. For instance, there have been conflicting reports about their partnership with Netflix. While spokespeople for the Sussexes and the streamer present a united front, and Meghan's show, With Love, Meghan, is set to return for specials, other sources have fueled speculation that the return on investment hasn't always been what Netflix hoped for. Adding to the complexity, Meghan's lifestyle brand, as ever, secured trademarks in Australia, showing a clear intent to do business there. This pattern of conflicting reports and media speculation creates a confusing public image. The visit to Australia, with its rumored ticketed events and commercial focus, is seen by critics not as a mission, but as a cash grab, an attempt to monetize their royal fame in a market that once adored them. This brings us right back to the 2018 tour. That was a success because they were working royals on an official tour representing the crown. The public understood the deal. This 2026 visit is different. It's a commercial endeavor with the appearance of a royal tour. They are, in the eyes of their critics, trying to recreate the magic of 2018 under a completely different set of rules. They're no longer seen as serving the public. They're seen as serving themselves. And that, more than anything, is why the Australian dream is becoming a PR headache. What we're seeing is more than just a tricky tour. It's a case study in modern branding. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are caught between the titles they hold and the commercial freedom they want. The Australian public, once their biggest fans, have become some of their sharpest critics, holding up a mirror to this contradiction. This journey down under was meant to showcase their new path, blending business with philanthropy to demonstrate their post-royal influence. Instead, it's become a spectacle of public pushback before it even starts. The viral petitions, fueled by a nation grappling with its own economic pressures, have sent a clear message. The media, in turn, has happily amplified this sentiment, questioning their relevance and motives. This isn't just about Australia. It's a sign of a broader shift in how the Sussexes are perceived globally. Their critiques of the monarchy, which once garnered widespread sympathy, are now increasingly met with accusations of hypocrisy. They are planning a return to the scene of their greatest triumph, only to find the applause has been replaced with scrutiny. The adoration has curdled into debate. The big question is no longer what kind of reception they'll get, but how they'll navigate such clear opposition. To proceed without acknowledging it would be a massive gamble. The Australian situation forces a tough question for the Sussexes. Without the framework of the crown, what exactly is their brand? If the public that once loved them most is now leading the debate against them, can their global image hold? This trip, whether it goes ahead as planned or not, may be remembered as the moment the world's patience was put to the test.